어떻게 지한 씨 혼자 독박 쓰기 딱 좋은 타이밍에 그런 논란이 터진 건지 공유가 일부러 노린 것처럼.
이젠 알아야 할 것 같아서요. 나 때문이라는 게 자가 내 매니저다.
3개월. 그 계약 기간이 끝나면 우린 각자 자리로 돌아가는 거예요. 잊지 말아요.
이게 무슨 의미죠?
진실이 밝혀지면 그땐
진실이 뭔데요? 내가 그런 짓 안 했다고 믿는 거예요?
Welcome back to Kdramas Decoded, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode of your favorite K-drama. Episode 6 begins right after Jae-en and Yoon H-wan's unexpected kiss. The two are left feeling incredibly awkward, unsure of how to act around each other after what just happened. Meanwhile, trouble is brewing at JAN Entertainment. The company's CEO is furious that director Moon held auditions for a supporting role without consulting the lead actress first. He demands that Jae-en's audition be cancelled immediately. Director Moon refuses to back down. He warns the CEO that if he continues interfering with the production, he'll remove Yi-jin from the project instead. Not wanting to lose her role, Yi-jin quickly apologizes for the CEO's behavior. Afterward, the CEO criticizes her for lacking enough star power and tells her that if she doesn't fight for her place, she'll end up living in Jae-en's shadow once again. Back with Jae-en and Yoon H-wan, they try to trigger another emotional transference, believing the kiss may have been the reason it worked before. Jae-en kisses him again to test the theory, but this time nothing happens, leaving both of them even more confused. Later that evening, Jae-en receives a phone call from her mother, and it's clear that the call terrifies her. She finally opens up about her painful childhood. She explains that before living with her mother at the age of 7, she spent years moving between relatives' homes and orphanages. Her mother later took her to acting auditions, not because she cared about her dreams, but because child actors earned good money. Jae-en reveals that her mother used her success to chase wealth and luxury, and eventually she ran away to escape her control. Even now, she's terrified that her mother will destroy her life all over again. Seeing how vulnerable she is, Yoon H-wan promises that he'll protect her. During this emotional moment, he realizes something important. The emotional transference only seems to happen when both of them are genuinely vulnerable. The side character auditions continue with both the CEO and director Moon watching closely. Jae-en delivers a successful audition and earns the role. Delighted by the result, she celebrates with Yoon H-wan and his restaurant owner friend, Dong Jeong. However, the happy mood doesn't last long. Song H-wan notices Jae-en and Yoon H-wan happily talking together on their way home. Once inside the house, she coldly tells Yoon H-wan to sell the house and leave. He asks her to wait until spring before making such a big decision. The following day, Jae-en officially signs her contract with director Moon's production. At the same time, an accident happens at Yoon H-wan's house when Ha-yeol gets injured. Song H-wan quickly takes her to the hospital. Jae-en and Yoon H-wan rush there as soon as they hear the news, but Song H-wan immediately stops Jae-en from going near Ha-yeol. She almost begins talking about the accident that caused her disability in the past, but Yoon H-wan quickly stops her from continuing. Back at home, Song H-wan decides that once Ha-yeol wakes up, they'll leave the house. She openly admits that she hates Jae-en. Instead of arguing, Yoon H-wan quietly tells Song H-wan that he understands what it's like to live with someone who resents you. He asks her to stay for just 3 more months. Meanwhile, Jae-en becomes increasingly worried about Song H-wan's behavior and wants to understand why she dislikes her so much. The next morning, Jae-en visits Yoon H-wan's house to speak with Song H-wan directly, hoping to clear the misunderstanding. Song H-wan refuses to discuss it and tells her to leave. Before going, Jae-en notices an old family photograph showing a young Yoon H-wan, Song H-wan, and their father. Looking at the picture triggers a vague memory of the accident from years ago. Later, the cast gathers for the script reading of director Moon's new project. Yi-jin is surprised to see Yoon H-wan attending alongside Jae-en. On the drive home afterward, Jae-en and Yoon H-wan talk about her filming schedule and eventually begin discussing Yi-jin. Yoon H-wan explains that Yi-jin was actually his very first client after her idol group disbanded. Around the same time, the CEO tries convincing Yoon Hwan that Jae-en's reputation for throwing temper tantrums is completely true. Yoon Hwan refuses to believe him. Instead, he points out that despite all the CEO's claims, he failed to protect Jae and when she needed help the most. This leads Yoon Hwan to suspect that the entire controversy surrounding her may have been deliberately created. Filming officially begins, and before shooting starts, the cast gathers for a group photo. Jae accidentally sits where the lead actor is supposed to be and is politely asked to move to the back. Once the cameras begin rolling, Jae impresses everyone with her performance. The crew praises her acting, giving her a much-needed confidence boost. Feeling happier than she has in a long time, she asks Yoon Hwan if he'll remain her manager even after their 3-month agreement ends. Instead of giving her the answer she wants, he tells her she needs to learn how to express her own emotions instead of always relying on someone else. Later, Yoon Hwan becomes frustrated over a scheduling conflict involving Jae-en's work. His mood quickly improves when he hears that she's been offered a shampoo commercial. Unfortunately, the good news doesn't last. Jae asks Yoon Hwan to stop acting so distant because she feels like she has no one else to depend on. Almost immediately afterward, Yoon Hwan receives a call informing him that the advertisement has been cancelled because another controversy involving Jae has resurfaced. The writer connected to the previous scandal is involved once again. Wanting to comfort Jae, Yoon Hwan takes her to the Han River. There, she finally breaks down emotionally, wondering if she really did abuse her authority against Mi Jeong like everyone claims. Yoon Hwan doesn't believe it. After looking into the situation more carefully, he realizes that the viral video simply showed Jae rehearsing lines with Mi Jeong. He believes Mi Jeong maliciously edited the footage to make it appear like Jae was bullying her. As he continues investigating, Yoon Hwan discovers that the dialogue in the video actually comes from Jae's cancelled independent film, Universe in the Room. Determined to uncover the truth, he meets with Jae's former manager, Do-hoon, and asks him to gather evidence proving that something suspicious happened during the production of that film. He also asks his friend to investigate the movie from another angle. Later, while Jae continues receiving praise for her acting on set, Do-hoon reports that the reporter behind the scandal was secretly being paid by the CEO. He also reveals that he overheard the CEO reporting Jae to someone else, making everyone suspect that the CEO himself may have helped create the controversy. Around the same time, Yoon Hwan receives an important phone call from a detective as the investigation continues moving forward. After filming wraps up for the day, he quietly drives Jae home. She's asleep in the car, so instead of waking her, he gently lets her rest. Still searching for answers, Jae later visits Dong Jeong's restaurant and asks him about the accident involving Yoon Hwan's father. When she returns home, she finds Yoon Hwan waiting for her. The two awkwardly practice lines together, but their conversation slowly turns toward love and emotions. Jae admits that she could never forgive someone who tells her they love her only to leave her afterward. With that emotional conversation hinting at what's still to come, the episode comes to an end.